What's going on, Nerd Squad, and welcome back. Revenge is a dish best served cold, but when you're a superhero, that dish can be pretty painful. I'm Taylor McWatters, and we're back with another part 2. This time, we'll be counting down 10 more of our favorite superhero revenge moments. And before we get to the list, we have a brand new gaming channel premiering, Viper Girl. Premieres January 22nd. Viper Girl will be streaming your favorite sandbox games to your favorite horror games. It's going to be an absolute blast. January 22nd. Put it in your calendar. Make sure you subscribe because it's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh, I almost died. I thought you were a cactus, my friend. I thought you were a cactus. We've got iron, baby. Yes. Okay, my main goal is to blow up and then act like I don't know nobody. Bro, no, I'm gonna fight you with a pork chop. No, come here. This is awesome.
Kicking off the list at number 10, Flash Freeze. Bart Allen is the grandson of Barry Allen. He skipped the whole teenage years and went to being an adult. You know, speedsters are wild. Thus becoming the Flash, for a small amount of time. Because the evil speedster, Inertia, aka Thaddeus Thawne, killed Bart Allen. Now at the same time, Wally West returned from his plane of existence, heard about the death of Bart, and started to join the hunt for Inertia himself. He was obviously very upset, but instead of killing him, he decided to freeze Inertia, like literally, like a living statue. By using his abilities, he slowed down Inertia's movements so slow that he's basically frozen in time. He's immobile. Literally a living statue, and his new home being the Flash Museum. While he's forced to look at statues of Bart Allen as Impulse and Kid Flash, he can still see and think in real time. He just can't move. That's like some House of Wax type stuff. He's just sitting there like, sucks. Wally describes it best, saying he's forced to stare with eyes that take 100 years to blink at the ghost of a man he could never be. Oof, that's good. We love it. And before we go on to number 9, guys, if you could go ahead and give us a thumbs up because it helps us out a lot here at our studio. Well, here at our home studio for the time being. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. And back to our list. Number 9, World War Hulk. So Thor Ragnarok was loosely based off the Planet Hulk storyline. I say loosely because that story didn't end up going so well in the comics. See, on Sakaar, the rocket that the Hulk arrived in ended up blowing to smithereens, causing some casualties that left the Hulk, well, ready for some revenge, obviously. So he heads back to Earth and thus begins the World War Hulk storyline. Time for some payback. While on Sakaar, he remembers who the real monsters were this whole time. I love this 5-parter a lot. The Hulk just destroys everybody. All the heroes that Earth has come to love just in the path of this beast. He locks the Illuminati in Madison Square Garden, so now it's like Madison Square Up Garden. So he locks them in and makes them fight to death. Once you spend enough time on Sakaar, the whole gladiator lifestyle kind of becomes second nature, I guess. It's a bloody good read, not for the faint of heart, but it's one of the best stories. But it's one of my favorite Hulk stories, so you have to check it out if you haven't already. Number 8, Wesley Gibson and the Fraternity. Mark Miller, Marvel Comics writer, is the mastermind behind Kick-Ass and Wanted, both of which are mentioned on this list, of course, because their comeback stories are amazing. Beginning with Wesley Gibbons in Wanted. So we have Star-Lord sleeping with Professor X's wife, and well, it doesn't end well. Yikes. Okay, so what's going on here? Well, the fraternity lied to Wesley in order to recruit him. They say his dad was killed by Cross, and Wesley has to avenge him by training to become his super assassin by Angelina Jolie and co. And it's pretty brutal. He really goes through it. So when Wesley's finally about to kill Cross, it's revealed that he's actually his father the whole time. Some Star Wars right there. So Wesley decides to plot an entirely new plan, to take out every member of the fraternity, and of course finishing off with Sloane. Number 7, Revenge for Gwen. This one left average moviegoers stunned in theaters when The Amazing Spider-Man 2 hit the big screen. Because of course we finally had to see the moment where Gwen Stacy meets her fate. Of course, this comes from the comics, specifically in issue 121 of The Amazing Spider-Man. The Green Goblin drops her off the Brooklyn Bridge, and although Peter has his trusty webs, sometimes the angle just doesn't work out for the best, and Gwen's neck ended up snapping from the momentum. Eagle Eye fans could spot that the clock tower in the part in the movie struck 12:10, which is a reference to the comic book 121. So the Green Goblin continued to taunt Spider-Man afterwards while he was trying to cope with being partly responsible for the love of his life's death. Spider-Man gets his revenge though in the very next issue, and it's pretty sweet, when a well-timed backflip results in the Green Goblin stabbing himself with his own glider. Number 6, Deadpool and AJAX.
You can't fix me?
It sounds even stupider when you say it.
Like the kind of stupid who admits he can't do the one thing I'm keeping him alive for?
The 2016 Deadpool movie is one of my favorite movies ever. I mean, of course, I'm thrilled to see Deadpool come to the MCU with that nice, juicy R rating. Let's go, come back home. But in a list about revenge, Wade vs. Ajax is a must include. In a storyline called Payback, Ajax was trying to hunt down Deadpool for trying to kill him earlier. And Deadpool wanted payback against Ajax for putting him and others through torture and the death of Wade's friend, Worm. Of course, didn't help. So when Ajax tried to kill Deadpool again, it wasn't that easy. The tides changed because now Deadpool ended up snapping his neck. In the movie, Wade pulls the trigger on Ajax right as Colossus is giving a motivational speech on why you shouldn't kill people, and the timing is creme de la creme. Number 5, Hit Girl and Mobsters. So we're back again looking at the work of Mark Miller, like I mentioned earlier. So if we're talking about Wanted, we have to talk about Hit Girl in Kick-Ass, played by the incredibly talented Chloe Grace Moretz. Okay, so after her father, aka Big Daddy, aka Nicolas Cage, began training Mindy at a young age to be a violent assassin, stylized in the comics that Big Daddy loved to read. So the mob boss, Frank D'Amico, framed Damon, Big Daddy McCready. He was put in jail, and then his wife, Mindy, committed suicide. So Hit Girl's mother committed suicide as well. So now she only has one parent, and he's in jail. So afterwards, he trains himself and young Mindy, really young Mindy, to be these killer, brutal assassins. Down the road, we have, of course, Kick-Ass in the picture, and Red Mist tricks him into revealing the whereabouts of Big Daddy and Hit Girl. So Frank's men took Kick-Ass and Big Daddy, leaving the revenge on just Hit Girl. So Hit Girl stormed the hideout and fought all of Frank's men. And when I say fought, I mean brutally killed them, is what I guess a better term for it. But Big Daddy was lit on fire during this madness, and he didn't make it. But don't worry, she had the last laugh. Or at least the last shot. Number 4, Bullseye and Daredevil. When her father was killed, Elektra dropped out of school and decided the way to go was, of course, to become an assassin. Similar theme throughout this entire list. So for many years, she worked as a bounty hunter. She took a contract in New York and eventually crossed paths with Daredevil, which is just the coolest part from the movie, which we all remember. So they worked together and they fought Bullseye, but Matt wasn't on board with her profession, but they remained close, nonetheless. They were still good friends. Then Kingpin hired Elektra as his chief assassin and was sent to kill Ben Urich, but Daredevil intervened. So Kingpin told her to kill Matt's best friend, Foggy, as payback. But Foggy recognized her and she couldn't end up doing it. She couldn't carry it out. So in the Death and Resurrection storyline, Bullseye figured the best way to make it back on top of Kingpin's list, he had to kill Elektra, and then he did, using her own side. So revenge is of course in order. Daredevil hunted down Bullseye and during the fight allowed Bullseye to fall from a telephone pole, shattering his spine. Number 3, the loop of life. Flash vs. Zoom. Everybody has that one memory they wish they could just delete from their brain, just delete out of existence. Maybe you're late for work, maybe you spilled coffee all over your new jean shorts, whatever the case is. Now, what if you had to relive that nightmare day over and over and over and over again, like Groundhog Day style? Well, that's what happens to Zoom. In The Flash issue 200, Wally West uses his powers to defeat him, when he freezes him and makes him repeat the worst day of his life over and over. Now, this is why I would like to be a speedster, this issue right here. I'd love to make everybody just chill out, especially right now, and just relive your best moment. Just sit there and be like, oh, we're going on rides. And then as soon as we're done, we're like, hey, the world's back to normal, what's up? No, this guy's like, nah, you're gonna repeat the worst day ever. Like, he just looks like he's in so much pain. The dramatic one teardrop too, like that's unpleasant. This is like an episode of Black Mirror. It's just a nightmare. So Zoom just sits and repeats the line, he doesn't have a gun, trust me, Ashley, over and over and over again. Poor Hunter Zolomon. I mean, he's not the best guy in the world by any means, but this is literally torture, no? Number 2, The Punisher. After accidentally witnessing a mafia hit, Frank Castle's wife, Maria, and children, Lisa and Frank Jr., were both gunned down. So Frank Castle, being the only survivor, who is also a former US Marine who served multiple tours, has the Bronze Star, Silver Star, and 4 Purple Hearts, he decides to spend the rest of his life sporting that white skull on his chest and taking down any shred of organized crime. He was the only survivor, and initially he actually wanted to testify in court to identify the shooters, like a normal human being. But because the New York City Police Department were so tight with the mafia, he wasn't able to do that. Now he's fully prepared and equipped to kill everybody involved in the murder of his family. And it's a pretty good movie as well. Or show. The show's amazing. Watch the show, definitely. And finally, number 1, Tony Stark beats Thanos. In Avengers Infinity War, Doctor Strange gave up the Time Stone to save Tony's life. Now, he had seen into the future, so he knew that there was only one way to survive the following outcome. Giving Thanos a stone was part of that outcome. But the winning part came much, much later. Tony had to watch as Thanos snapped away half of the universe's life, including a heart-wrenching scene where he sees Spider-Man, aka Peter Parker, disappear in front of him. So 5 years, 1 kid, and many, many hours of trauma later, Stark gets the chance to not only kill Thanos, but dust his entire army at the same time. Using the same words that closed the first Iron Man movie, he closed off the timelines where Thanos was ever an issue. I like how all of Thanos' squad got dusted in a similar manner as the Avengers. Like, even the way Ebony Maw's walking with his hand on his stomach mirrors what Spider-Man looked like when he was about to get dusted. And then of course Thanos sitting at the end, right before he disappears, mirrors when he was sitting in his whole farm after he just won an Infinity War. So it's nice. So this time the Avengers came out on top. Well, most of them. Sorry, Black Widow. But also thanks. Well guys, there you have it. Which of these revenge tales are your favorite? I've always revisited Mark Millar's Wanted so much. And the soundtrack, Chris Pratt's in it, it's just a great time all around. But what about you guys? Let us know in the comments down below so we can check them out this week. I'm Taylor McWatters, you're you, keep staying home, keep reading those comics, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.